What is up, my fellow Chibits? Hopefully all of you are having a very good day because I love you guys and I do care about you and I want you guys to have many great days ahead. So anyways, with that being said, let's talk about the latest episode of Gintama. So a Katsura episode. I think I've made it very clear many times in the past when Katsura has popped up. I'm a big fan of Katsura. He's not my overall favorite character, but I really like Katsura. He is a character that is, I think, critically underrated. Like, I feel like when it comes to Gintama, he is someone that is not shown quite a bit. I mean, he gets some screen time, but he doesn't always have a lot of episodes focused on him. And if you've ever, binged Gintama when you were watching, arc after arc and all of that, obviously you'd recognize that Katsura is normally not in a lot of arcs. And I'm really happy to see that we're getting some form of Katsura in this season of Gintama. For instance, him interacting with Gintoki and getting to find out a little bit more traits about him. That's what's really fascinating about this latest episode. So let's get into that. Katsura. This man's convo with Gintoki has to be one of the most fascinating things I think I've seen between these two characters. Like, I mean, they've had some really funny stuff in the past. There's many arcs, and there's probably stuff I have personally forgotten about and just am not remembering at this moment. But there's been a lot of funny stuff between Gintoki and Katsura. They've had some funny stuff before. However, the content in this episode of Gintama, with Gintoki having a conversation with Katsura, that had me dying. And the part I'm really talking about is the part to when Katsura and Gintoki were talking about Katsura's, falling in love with Ikumatsu, or however you pronounce her name. Basically, he was supposedly hitting on her, seems like he likes her in some way, and Gintoki's like, oh, it's obvious, like, you like her quite a bit. Have you hit, like, first base or whatever? And I'm like, that entire conversation had me laughing because just how blunt Gintoki was with Katsura, and Katsura's face, like, soon as his friend, someone he's known for a very long time, just straight up asked him something like that, he's like, why would you ask me something so vile, so vulgar? And I'm just laughing. I'm like, yo, Gintoki asking the real questions right now. He's legit asking the real questions because it's true. I mean, Katsura, it's apparent that he loves to go to her place constantly. Even though we haven't seen her a lot, Ikumatsu a lot, we know for a fact that he does actually like to go there, and especially after this episode, and since he's been going there quite often, he loves her food and all that, you basically can consider him a stalker. It's obvious he has some form of feelings for her, and so when Gintoki brings it up, it's like an actual friend in real life asking you the questions, because let's just be real here, if you have a group of friends and all that, they're eventually going to just bring up stuff like this. It's a common thing. It's a legit common thing. Jokes aside, it's a common conversation, and when you see something like this pop up and Gintoki's talking about it, I was just laughing. Like, I was rolling in my chair back and forth because of how awkward the situation was, but how real it was at the same time. Then Katsura's reaction to it, that's what made it even better, when he revealed some stuff about him. For instance, Gintoki's like, oh, I know you like widows and stuff. I know you're into that. And when he's like, no, I'm not into that. I'm into NTR. And I'm like, bro. Like, yo, we had confirmation that Katsura is into NTR. He's into NTR. I don't even know, man. Like, of all characters, I didn't think Katsura would actually be into that. Of all things, I just did not think that would be one of his main go-to fetishes. It would be NTR, of all things. And when he's like, I like NTR, and we know he has a thing for widows and stuff, I'm like, okay, Katsura. Okay. And I just like how passive that was. Like, when he revealed it, it was so quick. There wasn't a lot of focus on it. That's what made me really laugh, because it was just so sudden, so quick, and when it got off the screen like that, I was like, this is funny, because the way they didn't try to focus in on it made the punchline of that joke just so much better for Katsura's character. So anyways, besides that, let's talk about the real issue of this episode, okay, jokes aside. Anyways, the main point of this is trying to find Ikumatsu's, like, lost customer. Someone used to come every time at the end of the year to get some of her ramen, and basically would share the bowl. It would be split into 3 portions, and the man would go home very hungry, but he would just, eat soup and he would be fine. He was very happy, and this was becoming like a yearly tradition. It happened constantly for many years. Basically, one time after, one of the shop owners, her husband, passed away, basically, he stopped coming around. He wasn't coming around much anymore whatsoever, and basically, he just stopped turning up, and the yearly tradition died. And so Ikumatsu was like, I wonder where he's at, because I have this scarf and all that. It was a tradition, and, I would want to continue this tradition because my husband told me to do it, and she never got to see this man ever again. So basically, she's asking odd jobs, could you search and find this man for I can, make contact with him once again to find out what has happened to him and how has his life been. And, I mean, the way you look at the entire situation, you could automatically tell that this is probably going to be slightly a sad Gintama arc. I mean, Gintama has a lot of arcs like this. It has a lot of comedy, but also it has a nice perfect blend of sad moments. And that's exactly what this is. This episode has a lot of comedy, but there is a very sad undertone throughout it. Because Ikumatsu, we know for a fact, even though she hasn't been shown a whole lot in this series, she's had a very rare appearance in the show at all. Even though we know for a fact she has lost basically everything. She's alone. Her parents are gone, or her father is actually probably still alive, thanks to the confirmation of this episode, but her mother's gone, her husband's gone, and she works alone, basically, and so she has a very sad life. And basically, you can kind of feel bad for her, like, she's always been by herself recently, and she has no one to really talk to, and we also see this undertone to where she would like to actually meet this dude and figure out what's going on with him, and hopefully he's not dead or somewhere on the side of the road, because since he was like a homeless man and coming around, it's a possibility that he could have, died and passed away. And so she's constantly been worried about this for every single year when it came around. She was wondering, is the man okay? But thankfully, now with this episode, it's cleared that apparently the man is still alive, but also Ikumatsu's father. Now that was the really surprising moment, which gets into the underlying sad tone of this. The father, the reason why he kind of separated from Ikumatsu and why they all thought he died was because of what he did. So, getting into that, this is like a rather dark theme of the episode. So, the father, he was someone that, grew up in poverty. Like, he had a family, they were all in poverty, they didn't have a lot of, money. And Ikumatsu grew up in that as well. She wasn't with a wealthy family, a rich family, they didn't have everything, they didn't own anything, they barely had a house. You could see that, we see a flashback of it. And basically, when they were in poverty, they were like a true family. They were working together, they were happy, they were smiling. I mean, there was a lot of rough times probably, but they were very happy and they were smiling and they were working together as a real family. Then the wealth came in. Eventually they started to get money, and then that's when their overall morals started to shift a little bit, and then the father, he decided to go with another girl from his workplace, which in turn caused Dori separated from his wife, left his family, and left Ikumatsu by herself without a father, and eventually a lot of time passed, and apparently people thought he died from an illness. That's what was said. So, throughout all of this, the main moral here is that he lost track of what truly matters. When people get money, or when people get certain things, they get high up there, they tend to forget the journey and what led them to that point. And it's a very real message. It honestly is a real message, because have you ever heard the stories to where, like, someone's really high up there, like maybe a high tier, like, actor or something, or, you have someone that's like a famous book writer or whatever, and sometimes you would assume that they've probably forgotten what it means to be a little guy, what it means to be at the start of all this. And it's very relatable, honestly. It's very relatable, and it's something that could probably just strike true with so many that watch this episode, if you catch the meaning of it, is that many times when you gain a lot of success and you move up the ladder or moving up the flight of stairs, usually you kind of forget about the hardships that got there, and you lose track of what truly matters. And that's what happened. The man lost track of what matters, his family, and started to, let his greed, his lust, and all that consume him, and that's what caused him to eventually separate. And it seems like the reason why he's probably homeless, if I had to take an educated guess, I want to assume he's probably wanting to remain homeless because he realizes the concept of what money does to him, what wealth or anything does for him when he has many things to his disposal. I'm assuming he's very aware of, what he's capable of or how he acts when he gains things. And so that's probably why he's, remained homeless for so long. It's not the fact that he doesn't want to get out of it. It's the fact that he knows what would happen if he got out of it. He couldn't cherish the things that truly matter if he did have money. And so I feel like that's the message here. That's truly the message. However, there is some things, my opinion's a little bit, different from how people lose track when they get a lot of money, like, money corrupts people or whatever, or wealth corrupts people. I don't truly believe that's completely accurate. My personal take on this is, it's not power or money that actually makes someone evil, or lose track, or do horrible things. It's actually the person in general. It's their own moral compass. I mean, I don't think money necessarily, or wealth, or power, or whatever, causes someone to be corrupt or change. It's actually that it was already inside them to begin with. You just give them the tools to finally let that darkness within them. And that's how I feel about the entire situation. Anyways, we're getting quite a serious / comedic arc this time around for Gintama, and I'm looking forward to it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below, how you felt about this latest episode. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Please be honest in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and if you want to support me for I can continue to focus on YouTube, go in the description and support me on Patreon. So I love you guys, you have a wonderful day or night wherever you live, please be safe, Chibi out.